Hey guys, so first video for the Trench Crusade Kitbash diorama display. So I've got a lot of work to do because I need to alter these. I will probably alter a short to add to the video of the first one of this to give you guys an idea. So I was happy with them at first, but the more I kept staring at them, the more I'm just like, I need to clean these up like a lot. So I'm gonna try to clean these up, make these look a lot nicer, fix them up a little bit, try to make it worth the while. Get them to a point where I'm happy with them and basically be able to paint them. So, because these have been sitting basically primed for quite a while, and I tiddlywinked them a little while, but haven't done much with them in months. So basically it's going to be extreme surgery because I essentially used clay for a lot of some of the shaping and whatnot, and it just looks really, really bulky, and I'm just going to shave it down, try to make this look a little bit better. So it's going to be a long process to get there, but I hope you enjoy the journey with me. starting from scratch, which I can live with, especially for one. Let's fix this little bayonet. I had an issue here. I mean, if that's what I gotta do for each of these, honestly, I can live with it. Okay. Because even my bases, I have extra ones, thank heavens for that. And I'm going to change these up as well, because the thing that I'm doing for my little warband here for the Trench Crusade is I've based these guys, strangely enough, I based them on the Templars. The original, these are like the descendants that went into exile. There's a lot of lore behind it as far as what I created, but the basis for my lore is actually in some of the Trench Crusade lore that you can find. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on their website. It's a lot of it's there. And this is based in also they went to exile and basically became mercenaries for basically a Northern African group, I believe, a North African kingdom to be exact. So, like I said, I have extras of the bases and whatnot. So this is going to be a sandy desert, and they are like defenders of like the holy relics and whatnots, and they're trying to redeem themselves for their past discretions. They're not immortal or anything. These are the descendants who are trying to make up for the screw up that they did. So, but I'm just gonna keep going. We got one down. I've only got 6 more to do. Okay, so for entryman, shaved up. Now, I am liking how these hoods are kind of transforming in a way. I can alter some of these details and whatnot because the kit bashing, some of this is too futuristic, but I can alter that pretty easily. Like I said, I have the Dremel, I can grind it down. Now, there's another problem I have to overcome at this point. So, because the game itself is in 28 millimeter, right? So Warhammer and many other tabletop games, kind of like that, are in the 28 millimeter range. However, there are some things that are not. So, like this, for example, you can see the size difference if I do them base to base, side by side. Let me see if I can do this. Do this better. There we go. So roughly base to base. This is not easy. There we go. Flipping of heads. There we go. So as you can see, base to base, if I had them equal footing, yeah, there's quite a height difference. So I have to basically figure, that's a hurdle I got to overcome to make this kind of usable, quote unquote. But I think I have ways I can do it. So I'm gonna have some fun with it a little bit because again, it's like these work out just fine, you know, height wise. You can see I have these guys kind of set up correctly here. Like even this guy, I got a lot of work to do. I mean, you can see he kind of very Frankensteinish. So I need to alter that a little bit as well. So I got it the right height and everything, but it's not, it just looks too Frankensteinish. I gotta really fix him up a bit. So again, I am liking though, as I was shaving back the modeling clay, which is what I used to do these hoods with originally in combination with plasticard. I'm liking how actually I'm going to do this in a way of like an ancient Egyptian, which is pretty much part of the African aesthetic here. I'm going with that look. Like the hoods, they didn't have like full-blown cloaks, so these guys using more of the traditional Egyptian hood coverings for the headdress, so to speak. Because basically their descendants adopted some of the Egyptian iconography in combination with the Templars to kind of mask who they are and like who they truly are. So that's kind of what I've got going right now. So yeah, I got to do this. I got to alter probably a backpack here. I got to shave, going to be shaving that. Probably once I do that, it might work out better. But again, we'll see. So to basically summarize, my warband is a North African group that came from exile. They are Templars from the Great Crusades. Like I said, if you guys look up some Trench Crusade lore, you can find it on YouTube, you can find it on the webpage, and read it. It's very dark, I will warn you. But it's really interesting. Basically, take the Great Crusades, religious crusades of the medieval period, but they pretty much continue forth into a World War I setting. Okay, that's kind of what's going on here. So, but there's many factions. They are expanding. This isn't something that's been in development for quite a long while. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing for my guys. These guys are exiled Knights Templars trying to redeem themselves, and they are mercenaries to a North African kingdom. So that's pretty much what I have these guys being represented as. But yes, so at least 3 of these came out pretty darn good with how I would like them to look. I will kind of, I'm gonna try to set up at least the 2 here and get you guys a little bit closer. You can see how it looks, at least from the back, at least from a back and a side. Maybe even kind of spin it a little bit perhaps, but you know, maybe not. Maybe not until I get it like kind of more closer to finalized. So yeah, so I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of liking the direction. I'm kind of liking the fix that's going on here. There we go. Try to break some of this old clay off as well. And some of this, like I said, some of this will be hidden, which is a plus for sure. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. So one day down, many more to go for sure. So okay, now, all right. Now, I should have another piece of this fancy little headdress here. I'll have to see if I can locate it, and I can affix it on here a little bit later on. But for now, that's going to do for that. So if I can find another piece, great. Otherwise, I'll just have to make that one work, perhaps. Or maybe I can find something different that could work in its place. So, to give you a little more context, this is a kitbash from a couple different Warhammer sets for my Trench Crusade warband. So, yeah, I've got a little bit of the Heresy in here, along with some older Warhammer models. So we're talking like probably early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s, who knows. I think they were before the Primaris lore that came out, if anyone follows that. But that's what I have going on right there. And actually, I'm liking how these two guys are almost opposing each other in that same sense. So that's my heavy infantry guys back here with these. Like I said, so earlier in the video, you guys see me take care of my little soldier troops here. Now you see where I do have a small problem. As you can tell, how shorter one of these are. So it's like quite a bit here as far as going to the heads of these. So that's also why I had, like, these were relatively closer together, like so. they were close. Like, that was the whole idea. They're not going to be ideal, which I was looking through. Like, can you do, what's the limitations? The only limitations is, one, your imagination. And as far as Trench Crusade goes, so long as they are pretty close to the same height to each other, it's more than acceptable. So, this is why, at least for these, I'm going to probably redo these. I have more of these bases lying around as extras, and I kind of have an idea of what I want to do to them. They're not going to be wider or anything else, but my Trench Crusade warband, as I explained it a little earlier, these guys are pretty much exiles from a... as they are descendants from a from the Knights Templar that initially started the mayhem that is the lore of Trench Crusade that you can find if you can find it online, which is very easy to do. And these are the descendants that were in exile, and basically the exiles decided long ago in their creed was, we need to redeem ourselves. And that's what these descendants have been trying to do. Redeem themselves from their ancestors' mistakes. So, that's the whole premise of the warband. So we're going to keep moving on. All I have left to do now, as far as any sort of fixer-upping, is my lieutenant stand-in here. So that's what I'm going to be working on next, guys. So, here we go. So, here's a better look at them. Now, the feet of my lieutenant I'm still working on. They're not the prettiest, obviously. They're not, and I don't think they're going to be. So I think I have a way I want to do it, but we'll see. Worst case scenario is that I'd have to start from scratch for this guy. If that's the case, there's some pieces I could salvage off of him and such, but we'll see how that turns out. However, at least my soldiers here, this is one, I gave him a nice big sword charging through. It's with a rifle, of course. There's a lot of little things that have to go on. I have ways that I'm going to kind of clean this up a bit more, shave off some of the other markings and such, but we'll see what happens as I move along and things of that nature. I am going to try to set up, at least in this video also, basically, I shaved this up a little bit. I'm liking how this guy is. I like the pose of this guy. I'm liking how that's looking. And like I said, when I was explaining about the Egyptian heralds, that the royalty wore or high officials wore, this I'm hoping to accomplish the look a little bit as I'm putting these together for some of these. So, and then this was the other guy I needed to clean out. He was the first one I worked on, so I had to clean off a lot of his things here, which I'm gonna have to see what I can do with this, because I think I know what I want to do with him as far as how I want to put that cape in the back if I do that, because this is another model that I pretty much got and salvaged, and he came out really good. I like the look of him, how it's put together. It's very Knights Templar looking. It's very Templar Knights looking. He's got a giant flamethrower with a big tank I managed to put on him. So yeah, I mean, there's little things I've managed to get done with one, but the other one, he's got the Gatling, as you can see. And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try to figure it out, because I love the challenge and I love the puzzle. I like the figuring it out. So we'll see what comes of it.